After her childhood sweetheart Kai won the Best Actor award, he publicly posted her secret diary, revealing her years of unrequited love for him online. The next day, his obsessive fans attacked her. Sulfuric acid burned her face, and she was stabbed 18 times. As she lay dying, she saw Kai approaching from a distance, a cigarette between his fingers. He exhaled a slow puff of smoke and sneered. "Why don't you take a guess? How do you think I knew where you lived?" His voice was laced with disdain. "This is all your fault. If it weren't for you meddling, how could I have been separated from Serafina? And how could she have been driven to suicide, jumping from a building after enduring domestic abuse?" He let out a low chuckle, his words dripping with contempt. "Take your twisted, selfish, pathetic love and go die." When she opened her eyes again, she had returned to the eve of his debut drama's premiere. This time, she let him and his co-star, Serafina, openly announce their relationship. The moment Kai's scheduled love confession post went viral, her agency's legal department publicly announced their contract termination with him. Right now, she was sitting in front of her boss, Mr. Thorne, CEO of Legacy Entertainment. Calmly she spoke. "Kai's first drama hasn't even aired yet, and he's already making his relationship with the female lead public. This completely undermines the entire promotional campaign we built around the on-screen couple's chemistry. Not only that, but he's also blatantly disrespected the female lead. Moving forward, I doubt any actress would be willing to work with him." She paused, meeting Mr. Thorne's gaze. She advised him that this wasn't the right time to go public with his relationship. He refused to listen. "Since he insists on doing things his way, I've decided to sever ties with him before it's too late." As soon as she finished speaking, Mr. Thorne shifted his gaze from the trending topics to her face. "I remember you and Kai grew up together." She nodded and added, "Precisely because we grew up together, I won't let personal feelings interfere with business decisions." Hearing this, Mr. Thorne's expression softened. "That's professional. Legacy Entertainment doesn't lack talented actors like Kai, but we also won't tolerate someone wasting resources over a love affair." She let out a quiet sigh of relief, grateful that Mr. Thorne didn't let her connection with Kai cloud his judgment of her abilities. At least she could still keep her job as an agent. In her previous life, she had done everything for Kai's sake. She secretly deleted his scheduled confession post, which led to Serafina blaming him for lacking the courage to make their love public. Furious, she broke up with him. Kai drowned himself in alcohol at a nightclub and got into a violent fight. She had to suppress the scandal and drag him home. She poured hot water into a cup to let it cool, but before she could react, a burning pain shot through her hand. Drunk and slumped on the sofa, Kai had accidentally knocked over the cup meant to warm his stomach. Grinding his teeth, he glared at her with bloodshot eyes and cursed. "This is all your fault for meddling. Why don't you just die?" For over 20 years, she thought his hatred would fade with time, that he'd understand her good intentions. But his resentment only grew stronger, especially after he learned that Serafina had married someone else, only to be abused and forced to jump to her death. He slapped her 3 times and then posted her diary online for everyone to see. His voice was ice cold. "You keep saying it's for my own good, but isn't it just for yourself? Your love is disgusting, absolutely repulsive." After that, his crazed fans scarred her face with acid and stabbed her 18 times. In her final moments, she saw Kai standing not far away. She struggled to call for help, but he crouched down, pinched her face between his fingers, and exhaled a slow puff of smoke with a satisfied smirk. "Anya, you brought this on yourself." As she stepped out of Mr. Thorne's office, the staff whispered among themselves. She heard, Anya was actually the one who brought Kai into the company. Yeah, and weren't they childhood friends? A cold and untouchable best actor trained by a top-tier agent. I used to ship them so hard. Just as she was about to refute them, Kai himself walked in to finalize his departure procedures. His voice was indifferent as he said, "We were just childhood playmates, that's all." Beside him, the stunning Serafina curiously glanced at her. She caught the way Kai subtly clenched his fists. "Yes," he continued, "just playmates." Holding Serafina's hand, he stood in front of her, a picture-perfect couple. Forcing a stiff smile, he said, "Sorry for causing trouble, but I have to take responsibility for my feelings." The playful jeers from their coworkers made Kai blush, his eyes brimming with happiness. Serafina's gaze flickered over her before she flashed a gentle, poised smile. Kai was afraid I'd get jealous. So he said you two were just childhood friends, she said sweetly. But I really appreciate the care you gave him over the years. Now that I've stolen him away, I'll take good care of him. She looked at Kai, silent beside her, then smiled. Kai is a talented newcomer. This announcement of your relationship has brought in quite the buzz. Being in the same company should make things more convenient. Kai hesitated, as if about to say something, but Serafina subtly nudged his elbow, and he obediently shut his mouth. Seeing this, she simply nodded politely. I still have other actors to manage, so another colleague will handle the rest of the transition. You two go ahead and finish up. If fate allows, we'll meet again. I wish you both happiness. Or perhaps for them, the best ending would be nothing more than just that, two lovers finally ending up together. She knew the company Serafina belonged to. They were obsessed with buying trending searches, believing that even negative publicity was still publicity. Most of their artists thrived on opportunism, seizing attention and capitalizing on controversy. Now that Kai and Serafina had gone public with their relationship, they had gained some traction. Their company was willing to take Kai in, but this kind of attention came at the cost of exhausting all his future potential. From now on, Kai would no longer be Kai. He would only be known as Serafina's boyfriend. His greatest achievement would no longer be his acting, but the trending news of his publicized romance. Acting isn't a career that can be sustained by publicity alone. She sincerely wished them happiness. May this fleeting moment of fame last them a lifetime. Kai and she had been neighbors. He was born 88 days before her. They had played together since they were toddlers, growing up closer than family. His parents were local theater actors, and under their influence, he had dreamed of becoming an actor from a young age. Meanwhile, she, carrying the secret affections of a young girl, followed the determined and resolute boy, hoping to become his greatest supporter on his path to success. She had seen him push himself to the point of collapse while dieting for his entrance exam into the performing arts school. He had seen her burning the midnight oil to earn her agent's license. When they had just graduated from college, he had pulled her excitedly to a street-side screen broadcasting the live announcement of the Golden Blossom Awards for Best Actor. Anya, he had said, eyes burning with passion, do you believe it? One day we'll stand on that stage together, holding that trophy. In the freezing depths of winter, his young face had been flushed red from the cold, but his gaze had remained unwavering and full of fire. She had turned to look at him and said, Kai, I'll give everything I have to help you become the next best actor. Back then, she had believed so easily that dreams were everything to him, that one day they would stand as equals at the top. So when he lost his way, she thought it was just a temporary detour. As his agent, it was her duty to guide him back. But she was wrong. Kai's passion had long ceased to burn for his dreams. It had been extinguished the moment he met Serafina. From the start, Serafina, with her years of experience navigating the entertainment industry, had set her sights on the young and determined Kai. Perhaps it was boredom, or perhaps it was pure manipulation, but she took advantage of their time working together. She leaned in close, her breath teasing against his ear, testing his boundaries. Kai had blushed furiously and pushed her away, but his trembling hands gripping the script betrayed him. Like opposite poles of a magnet, he found himself drawn to her reckless boldness. One offhand remark from Serafina about liking something, and Kai would go out of his way to buy it for her. She casually handed him a cup of milk tea, and after drinking it, he kept the paper cup, using it to grow flowers. Every item she deliberately left behind, he would carefully pick up and treasure. With just a few effortless moves, Serafina had him wrapped around her finger. She had tried to reason with him. She told him that a truly talented actor should focus on his career, especially in the early stages. He needed to protect his image and reputation. The company had invested immense resources to secure him his first leading role. Surely he understood what was at stake? But the moment the words left her mouth, she suddenly realized just how fragile their 21 years of friendship truly were. It couldn't even compare to the 20-something days he had spent with Serafina. Kai and she had the biggest fight they had ever had. Anya, know your place, he had snapped. You're my agent. Your job is to serve me, not to dictate my personal life. After that, Kai completely froze her out, beginning a year-long silent war against her. During that time, he spent every moment either filming or glued to Serafina's side. For the sake of his debut drama's success, she quietly covered up his relationship, ensuring the news wouldn't leak. Then she saw his scheduled confession post. Out of professionalism, she deleted it. By all standards, personal, ethical, professional, at that critical moment in Kai's career, she couldn't allow anything to go wrong. At the time, she had no idea that because of that one action, Kai would resent her for a lifetime. In truth, in her past life, Kai and she hadn't always been locked in constant hostility. They had a brief period of reconciliation. It happened when he finally got the news he had been waiting for. Serafina wanted a divorce. They started talking again. Kai, determined to give her a better life, set his sights on the Best Actor award. His attitude toward her softened considerably. Back then, she hadn't fully grasped the connection between these events. She had simply thought that time was a great healer, capable of erasing all grievances. She had worked herself to the bone for him, tirelessly selecting scripts, building connections, and running favors, while he spent his days lost in romance with his first love. She followed behind him, always supporting him, always putting his career first, even when she knew she was being used. That brief period, though riddled with exploitation, was still something she couldn't let go of. She clung to it, until one day Kai accidentally discovered her long-buried feelings for him. He resented her for meddling in his life. He hated her for making him miss out on years with Serafina, even though everyone around him said that Serafina was nothing more than a gold digger, someone who only cared about profit. He stubbornly clung to the excuse that their breakup had been because he hadn't made their relationship public. He refused to accept the truth that Serafina had left him back then because he had been poor. And yet, in her past life, she had been just like him. She had clung to the delusion that everything had fallen apart simply because Kai had been too naive, too easily deceived. She refused to acknowledge the truth that her judgment had been catastrophically flawed. It wasn't until the knife pierced through her skin inch by inch that she realized he wasn't the only fool. She had been just as blind. She had made a mistake beyond redemption. She had made too many excuses for him. Now that she had a second chance, she was done wasting her time on this withered, twisted tree. Instead, she had discovered an entire forest. Every year, the Film Academy produced countless talented newcomers, all of them brimming with passion and ambition, eager to carve their names into cinematic history. She was in the middle of interviewing an aspiring actor when her phone started buzzing nonstop. Her work chat was flooded with people forwarding Kai's latest update. What is he even thinking? He just debuted, and he's already posting something like this. He's announcing that he'll never do kiss scenes. At first, when he went public with his relationship, I thought he was just slow. Turns out he's just a total love brain. Huge turn off, man. What a joke. The drama isn't even finished filming, and he's already prioritizing his girlfriend over his career. What a waste of company resources. No sense of professionalism at all. Messages kept pouring in. It took her a while to scroll up and find the original post. She tapped into Kai's social media page. His new post had skyrocketed in engagement, but at the same time, his follower count was steadily declining. In a daze, she suddenly remembered the first time Kai's work had ever received tens of thousands of likes. He had been so excited he nearly jumped into her arms. Anya, he had beamed. I finally have real fans, reading through every comment one by one, replying to them personally. He had stayed up that entire night, endlessly refreshing the page, counting how many new followers he had gained. Then, in the middle of the night, her phone rang. Kai's frantic voice shot through the receiver. Anya, where's my agent? My most incredible, unparalleled, legendary agent. At the time, she had been half asleep and mumbled a drowsy response. But when there was no reply, she gradually woke up and hesitantly asked, Kai, are you still there? From the other end of the line came the sound of him choking back tears. Anya, you've been training me for so long. You stayed up late with me to study film editing. You even researched trending topics while eating, and yet after all that effort, this is all the following I've managed to build? If I ever become a real best actor one day, I swear, I'll stand on that award stage and tell the whole world how much I owe you. His words had made her laugh. She had promised him over and over that she would always have his back. That night had felt so long. Their hearts had been so close, so warm. Back then, Kai had still remembered everything she had done for him. That was the night her foolish young heart began to fall for him. It was the night she first realized she loved Kai. She loved the passionate, ambitious partner who had once fought by her side. She had written in her diary that night, "The road is long and dark, but if I'm walking it with you, it doesn't seem so hard. Kai, I think I love you." And in the end, she had kept her promise. She had helped him become best actor, but he had broken his. At the height of his success, he repaid her with nothing but cruelty. He trampled her love beneath his feet. With venom in his voice, he had looked her in the eye and said, "Why wasn't it you who died? Serafina and I were so happy together. Why did you have to get in the way? Take your sick, twisted, disgusting love and just go die." And now, the first group of fans that Kai had painstakingly built, those who had once adored him, were abandoning him in droves. For the past half a month, Kai had turned his once carefully curated social media into nothing more than a personal love diary, 5 or 6 posts a day, all detailing his relationship with Serafina. Love truly was powerful. It had somehow transformed a man who could barely meet the 800-word requirement in school essays into someone capable of writing long, poetic declarations of love every single day. Yet still he never seemed to run out of ways to profess his devotion to Serafina. She noticed that some of his earliest fans, the ones who had supported him from the very beginning, had started complaining about his obsessive love-brain behavior in the comments. One by one, they were getting blocked by him. The Kai who once genuinely cared about his fans was gone. He didn't care about losing followers. The only thing that mattered to him was whether Serafina had shed a single tear. He was even trying to get Serafina more screen time in their upcoming drama, using his position as the male lead to pressure the writers into rewriting the script. On set, she didn't know whether to call him hopelessly devoted or downright pathetic. He had been dealt such a great hand, and yet he was throwing it all away just to make a woman smile. What a waste of that face. A sharp breath of cold air brushed against her ear. She turned around to see a young man with strikingly handsome features. Though still youthful, his eyes burned with an unmistakable ambition. She closed her phone and frowned at him, her gaze locked onto his stunning fox-like eyes. Has no one ever taught you that looking at someone's phone without permission is extremely rude? Even after being scolded, he remained unfazed. "You're right, my bad," he admitted casually. Then, as if he hadn't just been reprimanded, he added, "But I really mean it. Anya, you have great taste. It's just a shame that some people don't know how to appreciate it. Compared to him, I think I'm far more deserving of your investment." Shameless. But he wasn't wrong. The world was never short of talented people. It was never short of ambitious people either. What it lacked were those who had the guts to seize their opportunities, no matter the cost. She smirked slightly. "Welcome to Legacy, Leo." 2 weeks later, she received word that a drama was replacing its lead actor. Without hesitation, she took Leo to the production company. The original male lead had been Kai. She hadn't expected the production team to be so decisive. Originally, Kai's debut drama was set to air the day after he publicly announced his relationship, but after his declaration, the agency representing the female lead decided that Kai had become too arrogant. The two sides had originally agreed to hype up a romance between the lead actors before the premiere to boost publicity, but now Serafina's popularity was overshadowing the official female lead, making things unbearably awkward. Under mounting pressure, the drama's release was postponed. This had been the female lead's agency's final olive branch to Kai. If he had even a shred of awareness, he would have reached out to smooth things over and refocus on promoting the drama. But instead, Kai had been too intoxicated by his love to care. He and Serafina had been using the buzz from their announcement to attend low-tier, unremarkable offline events. They had even started live streaming together for quick cash grabs. It was disgraceful for a lead actor to behave this way. In just 2 weeks, the director, the female lead, and several investors had come to a unanimous decision. Kai was out. The moment the news leaked, Leo had been preparing nonstop. The second they arrived at the director's office, they ran into Kai, his face stormy as he rushed out. A soft feminine voice called out behind him, "Director, don't lower yourself to his level. He's not worth it, Serafina." Kai froze in place, his eyes shimmering with unshed tears. But when he turned and saw her, he quickly averted his gaze, tilting his head back as if trying to regain his composure. He wanted to maintain at least a shred of dignity in front of her, but the truth was, the moment he let himself drown in love, he had already lost his freedom. Without the strength to stand on his own, he had become nothing more than a puppet at the mercy of a ruthless industry. One day, when his company had drained him of every last bit of value, he would be discarded, left to be swallowed by the endless waves of new talent. Serafina strutted out the door, swinging her hips as she glanced dismissively at her and Leo. Then, with a dramatic flair, she whipped her purse at Kai's face. "What are you looking at? Hurry up and leave," she snapped. "You think she's still your childhood friend? She's here to steal your role." Without sparing him another glance, she turned on her heel and walked away. A sharp cut formed on Kai's cheek where the corner of her bag had struck him, and a thin line of blood began to seep out. She remembered how much Kai had always cared about his face. Back in kindergarten, boys would often get into fights, but whenever Kai got bullied, he never fought back. He would just pout, shielding his face. Eventually, everyone started calling him a sissy. At first, she had looked down on him for it too. She had once thrown a punch at him, teasing, "Come on, sissy, fight me." No matter how much she provoked him, Kai had always protected his face. She had laughed at him back then and swung her fist at his cheek, only for him to grab her wrist with surprising strength. His voice had been firm. "I want to be an actor. My mom says my face is important." Back then, he had been willing to endure anything for the sake of his dream. Now he was willing to throw everything away for love, even the dream he had nurtured for over 20 years. The blood on Kai's cheek shimmered under the setting sun, making him look both comical and pathetic. Out of habit, she reached into her pocket and pulled out a tissue, handing it to him. But he slapped it away. "I don't need your pity," he growled. Then he turned away. "You two should just go inside. I'm not the male lead anymore." She watched as Kai desperately chased after Serafina, his familiar yet distant silhouette fading from sight. Complicated feelings churned inside her. Why did she feel a trace of pity? Leo, who had been watching the scene unfold for a while, suddenly muttered, "No, I was just thinking. Maybe today is the best day he'll have for years to come." Sometimes when you take the wrong path, the harder you try, the further you stray. Just like she had in her past life. Just like Kai was now. In her previous life, after Kai and Serafina broke up, he harbored resentment toward her. On set, he deliberately made things difficult for her, sending her back and forth to buy coffee 78 times, rejecting each one with a different excuse. Too hot, too cold, too sweet, too bitter. Actually, maybe the first one was best after all. Even when other cast members couldn't stand to watch and tried to speak up for her, he shot them down aggressively. Even Mr. Thorne, the CEO of Legacy, advised her to drop him and work with a different actor. Looking back, she didn't know if it was blind optimism or sheer stupidity that made her hold on. She kept telling herself that this was just his first love, that the breakup had been too painful, and that he'd come to his senses with time. With that belief, she walked a path of no return. Year after year, she stayed by Kai's side without complaints or regrets. 2 years passed. He had finally secured his footing in the industry. Serafina had divorced, and the two of them reconnected. Because of her, her relationship with Kai gradually improved. On the surface, it seemed like they had gone back to how they used to be, though they were never as close as before. She still remembers the day she moved apartments. Kai, without being asked, enthusiastically showed up to help her carry boxes. That was the final flicker of warmth between them, a dying light before complete darkness. Because on that very day, he accidentally found an old diary of hers from years ago. On one of the pages, written in clear, unwavering handwriting, were the words, "I think I might love Kai." If before Kai had assumed she deleted his confession post out of professional obligation, causing him and Serafina to miss their chance, then after reading that line, he had every reason to believe it had all been a calculated scheme born out of possessiveness. The day after he won his Best Actor award, he publicly posted her diary online. Then he messaged her directly, spewing his hatred. Hiding behind the excuse of company interests, was all of this just a cover-up for your disgusting love? You're like a rat crawling in the gutter, using such despicable tricks. You make me sick. I wish I had never met you. For 2 years, he had kept his resentment bottled up, and now he had finally found a way to unleash it all at once, drowning her in his hatred. She fell gravely ill. Days later, when he finally showed up at her door holding a container of her favorite seafood porridge, he apologized. He said he had spoken in anger, that he hadn't meant it. He claimed he felt guilty and wanted to make amends. Foolishly, she believed him. She was so weak that she barely had the strength to open the door. But the moment she did, a bucket of sulfuric acid was thrown onto her face. That was when she realized he had never intended to forgive her. He had never planned to let her go. His obsessed fans had pieced together their own twisted version of the truth. After Serafina had married a wealthy businessman in Hong Kong, she had endured endless domestic violence. She had suffered multiple miscarriages, was in and out of hospitals, and her body had been left covered in bruises. Less than 3 years into her marriage, she was diagnosed with severe depression. In the end, unable to escape, unable to bear it any longer, she jumped from the 18th floor. Kai's fans believed she was the villain. She had ruined Kai's love. She deserved to be ripped apart. So they stabbed her 18 times. As her consciousness blurred, she saw Kai standing just a few steps away. For a moment, she thought she was saved. She thought he would finally show her mercy. But instead, he crouched down, grasped her chin between his fingers, and exhaled a ring of smoke into her face. Even then, she refused to give up. Summoning every last ounce of strength, she dragged herself toward him, clawing at his pant leg, hoping that for the sake of their past, he would save her. Instead, he kicked her hand away with a smirk. "Anya, why don't you take a guess? How do you think they found out where you lived?" Then he walked away. Not long after he left, her phone vibrated. A new message. It was from him. "Sorry, I got a little too emotional earlier. I may have been too harsh on you. Wishing you all the best with your new project." So this was how he treated her when she didn't interfere with his life. This was the Kai she should have known all along. In her past life, she had foolishly sacrificed everything to protect him. But for what? Leo, on the other hand, fit her in ways Kai never did. Whether in work or in private, they understood each other. He was even more like the Kai she had once admired. Strong, courageous, and ambitious. That was when she finally realized the love she had for Kai had never been about him. It had all been a fantasy, a product of her own delusion. In her past life, she had been so wrong. She should have never built up such unrealistic fantasies about him, nor should she have shaped him into something he was never meant to be. You can force a fruit off the vine, but it'll never taste sweet. Leo successfully secured the role, but reshooting the male lead scenes was an enormous challenge. Almost all of his interactions with other characters had to be filmed using a green screen, acting opposite empty space. On top of that, with the drama's release on a tight schedule, the production was pressed for time. Leo worked tirelessly, had only 20 days to finish all his solo monologues, and another 10 to complete his interaction scenes. Anya stayed by his side through countless sleepless nights, pushing through exhaustion just to get everything done. His professionalism and dedication never wavered. Before filming even wrapped, the director had already locked him in for their next project. When production finally ended and they returned to the hotel, they collapsed on the floor, completely drained. She asked him, "Why do you work this hard?" Leo dodged the question and instead turned it back on her. She fell silent, thinking for a moment before answering. "Because I love it." After everything she had been through across 2 lifetimes, she had finally come to understand her own heart. She loved the feeling of striving toward a goal. She loved the fulfillment of working tirelessly for something meaningful, and most of all, she loved having someone by her side fighting alongside her. Leo chuckled, his striking fox-like eyes twinkling with amusement. "Come on, don't lie to me. I've been surrounded by liars lately." Before she could stop herself, she blurted out, "I suck at math. I had no future in academics, and I wanted to become a powerful woman who built her own career." He smirked. "And me? Because I was poor." At first, she thought he was joking, but when she turned to look at him, his usual playful expression was gone. Leo had come from the remote Northwest Mountains. He had been born with an extraordinary face, one that had carried him all the way to the capital to film school and eventually to where he was now. But whether it was a blessing or a curse, the dazzling world of the city had been like Pandora's box, opening his eyes to just how deep his poverty ran. He had been lost. He had struggled. And in the end, he had been unwilling to accept that kids from his hometown could never have the same opportunities. His dreams were too big. He wanted to earn an immense fortune, and only money could make his wishes come true. So he continued, "I don't fall in love easily. The weight on my shoulders is too heavy. I want my people to leave those mountains. I want them to see the world, no matter how good or bad it is. Anything is better than a life where they don't even have a choice. Under the night sky, the city lights flickered like scattered stars. Suddenly, love and grudges felt so insignificant. Leo's debut film was released, and it was a massive hit. It smashed viewership records, reaching 48 billion views, more than double what she remembered Kai ever achieving in her past life. Same director, same cast. The only difference was the male lead. One had thrown himself into his work, giving it everything he had. The other had been too caught up in his love life to care. The contrast was glaring. Online, the audience was ruthless. This is what it means for one actor to save an entire drama. Thank God they replaced the male lead. Otherwise, the original fans of the novel would have been crying. Why is Kai so obsessed with dating? Is it because he's bad at everything else? Years of reputation building crumbled as Leo's popularity skyrocketed. The comparisons were inevitable, and with every discussion, Leo stepped further into the spotlight while Kai sank into irrelevance. Leo watched the trending rankings, his eyes filled with ambition. "Took me long enough," he said smugly. She chuckled, tossing a thick stack of scripts onto the table. "All right, Mr. Rising Star, take a break from celebrating. We need to pick your next project." He groaned. "Damn, you don't waste time, do you? Can't you let this poor actor rest?" They were laughing when a shadow fell over them. A familiar voice interrupted, soft yet hesitant. "Anya, do you have time?" It had only been 6 months, but Kai looked like a completely different person. His skin had darkened from long days spent under the sun. The once pristine face he had been so proud of now bore faint scars. He hesitated, unable to bring himself to say what he wanted. Even now, his pride still held him back. After everything, he still hadn't learned what Leo had known from the start, to swallow his pride and fight for what he wanted. Leo stood, giving her space. Once he was gone, Kai finally exhaled. "Anya, I know this is unfair to you, but for the sake of our years of friendship, can I come back to Legacy?" She stood there, silent for a long time after hearing his words. There was a time when she gave him everything, and he treated it like nothing. Kai kept talking, completely oblivious to the way her expression had grown colder and colder. "Things have been rough for me lately. My agency forced me into all these shady live stream sales, tying me and Serafina together as a package deal. I've done so many things against my conscience, and now my reputation is getting worse and worse." He kept going, pouring out his grievances as if she were still the same person who would stand by his side no matter what. "These online companies are squeezing everything they can out of me. The public is turning against me. Anya, you probably won't believe this, but I had this really long dream recently. In the dream, you wished for me to become Best Actor, but I—" He hesitated, his voice growing softer, then almost inaudible. "I let you down. Dreams are just reflections of the subconscious. Maybe deep down, some part of him still believed that she was the only one who could save him. But why did he think she would help him?" She straightened her posture and looked at him coldly. "And what makes you think I'll help you?" Kai visibly stiffened, like he had never considered the possibility that she wouldn't. He opened his mouth, but no words came out, because to him, she had always been just a childhood friend, nothing more. The realization hit him like a bolt of lightning. He stood frozen, unmoving, as if his entire world had cracked. In this life, Kai hadn't done anything to harm her, but in her past life, she could still remember the burn of acid on her skin, the agony of a knife piercing her 18 times. The pain was seared into her bones. She would never, ever give him another chance to hurt her. "You only come to me when you need something. But when everything was fine, wasn't it always Serafina who mattered most?" "Anya, that's not it." Kai's voice trembled as he tried to explain. I really did take the wrong path." Tears shimmered in his eyes, though they never fell. "Then you should take responsibility for your choices," she said flatly. "You made your bed, now lie in it." "Kai, do you even remember why you wanted to become an actor in the first place?" It was a question she had asked him when they were just 8 years old. Back then, his young eyes had been bright with determination. "I want to be a big star, just like my parents." Later, as they grew up, he had told her, "I don't just want to be a great actor. I want to tell meaningful stories, to share emotions and values with the world." But now, all of that had faded into nothing. He had become the very thing he once despised. For the first time, his figure in front of her looked smaller. Maybe she wasn't as ruthless as she thought. Her heart softened slightly, just for a moment. "The only thing I can give you is advice," she said, her voice quiet but firm. "The same advice I gave you in the beginning. Cherish every opportunity you get to appear in front of the public. Be genuine to your fans. Start over bit by bit. And next time, when a chance comes your way, have the guts to fight for it. There are too many talented people in this industry. The market only remembers those who dare to seize it." She never mentioned his relationship. Her advice was clear. There was nothing more to say. She picked up her bag, ready to leave, but Kai suddenly grabbed her wrist. "Anya, I'll take your advice seriously," he said hoarsely. "But there's something else I want to ask you. Something I want to hear from you directly. People have been saying that you used to like me. Is it true?" His palm was damp with cold sweat. She gently pried his fingers away. "Kai," she said softly, "there are far more important things in this world than romance. My feelings, whatever they were, don't matter anymore. What matters now is the road ahead, and my person. The one who will walk this road with me is somewhere up ahead. No one is obligated to wait for you forever. Life moves forward, and so did I." Leo's talent, combined with his ambition, pushed him to success at an astonishing speed. In just 3 years, he won the industry's highest honors, achieving a Grand Slam. From time to time, she would hear updates about Kai from her mother. "That poor boy," her mother would sigh. "His girlfriend keeps cheating on him, but because of the contract with their agency, he can't even break up with her. They're stuck together, pretending to be in love for the cameras." She shook her head. "He looks so miserable. He chose this path," she said. "That may be true, but he still hasn't given up on acting. The other day, when it was snowing so hard, he went out just to play a minor role. He ended up getting sick for half a month, and as soon as he recovered, he went straight back to filming. That girl really ruined him." "Mom," she sighed. "She didn't ruin him. Kai did this to himself." By the 4th year, Leo won the Golden Blossom Award for Best Actor, becoming the youngest winner in history. At the award ceremony, she was no longer the trembling rat hiding in the shadows. Thanks to Leo's strong recommendation, she had the privilege of stepping onto this grand stage, dressed in a champagne gold satin gown. So this was what the view looked like from the top. Uncontrollably, her mind flashed back to another lifetime. Kai's fiery, impassioned speech when he had once stood here. Her palms grew slightly damp. Sensing her nervousness, Leo turned off his mic and leaned in close to whisper in her ear, "Relax, Ms. Anya. 50-50 split, okay? Just standing here with me means your bank account balance is about to gain 3 extra zeros." Then, as if he had flipped a switch, he turned his mic back on and grinned at the crowd. "What doesn't kill me only makes me richer. Hello, everyone, I won another award." The audience erupted into laughter and applause. Leo was full of life, standing there. His ambition was so blatant, yet so captivating. Her gaze subconsciously drifted to the audience, and then she saw him. Beneath the brim of a black baseball cap, a pair of eyes that were all too familiar, Kai. He had never reached out to her again. Not long after, he drunkenly started a live stream, mumbling the same words over and over. "So it wasn't a dream. I was wrong. I was so wrong." Years ago, he had thrown out the words so easily. Be bold. Own your choices. And now what? Did he think he could just take them back? You only get one youth. Once it's gone, you can't ask for a refund. "Anya, say a few words." Leo's voice snapped her out of her thoughts. He was smiling, pushing the microphone toward her. She smiled back. "I hope we can always stay ambitious. Even when we're 70, I want us to still be making movies together." By the time she glanced back at the audience, the black baseball cap was gone, vanishing without a trace. Leo only continued to rise, his fame burning bright, turning from red-hot to deep violet to nearly black with intensity. They both became increasingly busy, so busy in fact that the next time she saw Kai again, she barely recognized him. He was in a live stream, his neck flushed red as he angrily argued with someone over shipping fees. Beside him, Serafina sat with a look of pure disgust. Even under their heavy layers of foundation, their complexions looked terrible. The young assistant beside her, full of curiosity, leaned in excitedly. "Do you know Clear Snow? This couple is hilarious." She didn't wait for her answer before launching into an enthusiastic explanation. So when they first got together, the guy used their relationship to gain fame and milked every bit of traffic from it. But after just a few sweet days, the girl cheated on him with some rich guy and tried to break up. The guy originally wanted to split up and go back to being an actor, but his company wouldn't let him. They were making too much money off their sales streams. So now he just squeezes in a few side gigs, taking minor roles in random productions. But audiences don't care anymore. There are way too many handsome guys in the industry. Who needs him? Plus, his acting was always just average. In the end, he gave up and went all in on selling products. Now they make money off breakup dramas, getting back together, and selling toilet paper. It's nonstop entertainment, just scandal after scandal. The other assistant scoffed. Come on, don't call it love-hate. They don't even love each other. This is just pure toxicity at this point. As they joked, she found that she could barely remember that winter night years ago when Kai had declared his dream of becoming the next generation's best actor. The years continued to pass. Leo became a legend in the industry, sweeping every major award and solidifying his place as an irreplaceable actor. By the time he was 30, he had already won his second Golden Blossom Award for Best Actor, and his films consistently broke box office records. As for her, she stood beside him every step of the way, no longer just an agent but a force in the industry in her own right. One night, after a particularly grueling shoot, Leo and she sat on the rooftop of a film set, sharing a quiet moment over 2 cups of coffee. Anya, he mused, staring at the city lights. You ever think about how far we've come? She chuckled. All the time. We used to be nobodies, running on nothing but ambition, he continued. Now we're at the top, but I don't want to stop. Not yet. You don't have to, she said simply. The road is still long, and I'll keep walking it with you. He smiled. I like the sound of that. Across the industry, people called them a dream team, powerhouse agent, and unstoppable actor. They were known for their work, their influence, their relentless pursuit of greatness. And Kai? He faded further and further into obscurity. Occasionally, she would still hear about him through her mother or through passing conversations. His career had long since collapsed, and his relationship with Serafina had become nothing more than a business arrangement. He had tried to make a comeback several times, but each attempt had ended in failure. The industry had moved on without him. The last time she ever saw him was by chance on a cold winter night. She was on her way home from a late-night shoot when she passed by a small theater. There, standing in the snow, was a man in worn-out clothes, handing out flyers for a stage play. Kai. His once pristine features were weathered with time, his once proud posture now slouched. His fingers, once trembling with excitement as he held his first award, were now numb from the cold. He saw her. Their eyes met for a brief second. Something flickered across his face. Regret, perhaps, or maybe just nostalgia. But neither of them said a word. She walked past him without stopping, because no matter how much history they shared, the truth remained. No one was obligated to wait for you forever. And she never had to look back.